Welcome to your first look. Lucas Oil ProMotocross is back. We had 2 weekends off. As you can tell from my voice, that doesn't mean we didn't have any racing. We had a whole week of action at the Monster Energy MA Amateur National Championship at Loretta Lynn's. Now, normally when we come to Unadilla, we talk about the riders graduating from the amateurs to pros. We're going to do it in reverse this year. I'm Jason Weigandt. We'll give you the scoop coming into this race, and it is actually veteran riders who have been out of the series with injury coming back. I don't think we've ever seen a scenario with a stretch run the field actually gets deeper as the year goes on. So those are the stories we're going to cover here on First Look, all brought to you by 6D Helmets. And 6D Helmets, they're committed to the relentless pursuit of better brain protection. 6D's patented Omni-Directional Suspension technology provides protection capabilities unmatched by any other helmet design. Established in 2011, 6D is the technological leader in both motorcycle and bicycle helmet design. So who's back this weekend? Well, it starts with none other than the number one. Dylan Ferrandis is going to actually get a few races with the number one plate on his Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing machine. If you recall, he hurt his thumb in press day right before round one, had surgery, got it fixed. Now, it would be cool for Ferrandis just to come back and show off that number one plate. You never know how titles are going to go in this sport. Maybe it's his only chance to ever ride with one. I'm sure he'd like to do it again. But I have a feeling there's a little more to it than that. You know that Star Racing team, they will do anything that it takes to win, and I believe their goal is to eventually have Ferrandis get in the battle with Eli Tomac and Chase Sexton, and maybe steal some points away from Sexton to help Ferrandis' teammate, Eli Tomac. The championship is super close between those two, and the last time out Washougal, they put on another instant classic with Tomac edging ahead in a close fight in the first moto. They even crashed into each other. And then Sexton was able to do what very few can do, and that is hold off Eli Tomac for 30+2 in a race and win the overall at Washougal. So can Ferrandis get in here in his first race back at Unadilla? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm sure the goal is over the next 8 motos that he can do it. So that's story number one. And then we have Malcolm Stewart returning to ProMotocross for the first time since, checks notes, 2014, since Mookie has raced outdoors. Now, the plan was to race all year. He had a knee injury, apparently due to that dust-up with Justin Barcia at the end of Monster Energy Supercross, so he's back. I have a feeling, not just because of the knee, the outdoor legs might take a little while to get underneath him, but we'll see what Mookie has under the hood here and over the next couple of rounds. And also, Dean Wilson is back. It's been a great track here at Unadilla for Wilson through the years, but he's coming back from a pretty gruesome injury. We got nailed in the backside, can I say that, by his motorcycle. And I believe these are probably going to be the last 4 races for him with a long-standing relationship with Rockstar Husqvarna. So we'll see how he does. So interesting to have those 3 riders jumping into the 450 mix. And the 250s, Cameron McAdoo is back from injury. He got hurt at round 1. And Ryder DeFrancesco, it's not a pro debut because he raced a couple nationals before Loretta's, but he is joining the pro ranks again this weekend. So again, more riders to talk about this weekend than we've had in the past. And we caught up to some of them in the pits.
Yeah, just the experience coming off those 2 outdoor nationals and then going to Loretta's. It wasn't easier, but it was kind of easier on the mind just knowing that I'm not lining up against the best in the world. But yeah, I just took it to the Loretta's. We had a good week there, take the positives, and coming into this weekend, just get 2 good starts and have some fun with the boys. I have not ridden this track. I've watched it on TV, and I walked it today, and it just looks so much different looking at it. I'm sure to be even more different riding it. So it looks super good. It's technical, has a lot of ruts, so it should suit my style pretty well.
Yeah, my summer was obviously not the way we wanted it to go. The first lap at the first race at Paula, I had a crash and I broke my sternum. I had a pretty good amount of bleeding on my lungs, and then I had some bleeding on my heart. So that was like really unfortunate. Obviously followed up right by it from an injury before Supercross or during Supercross. So a lot of recovery, a lot of work. Like, it was, my goal was to be able to still race this summer some, and we were able to get back on the bike, you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and put in a good amount of work to be able to be here and racing. Yeah, I spent a lot of time at Dr. G. It's one of those injuries where it's like there's not a surgery you can do for it. But I did a lot of physical therapy. That's like a lot of healing with the muscles around the bone, and there's a lot of machines that Dr. G has, and I went to multiple places for just every bit of therapy I could do, and then just a lot of training to stay, you know, at form to be able to compete. No, I like it here. I raced here in 2018 and 19. 19 I had a crash actually, and it kind of ended my day shortly, but 18 was a mutter. I like the fans out here, like up here in the Northwest.
Yes, it's been eight years since I've raced here. I would say a lot of things has changed, but when I was driving down the road, if anything, it just brought back more memories. It's actually just good to be back. As soon as I started I got the little jitters pulling in the gate. Just the feeling of being back racing again. I think that's more the thing for me. And it's been a while since May, since I even had a gate drop. So for me, it's more so just coming back and just getting my feet wet again and try to finish off these last 4 rounds on a good note. And going into the beginning, have a good off season, and sure enough, we'll be starting Supercross again. So, but first things first, let's just go back out here and race. And like I said, it's going to be an interesting one for me. I've obviously rode motocross for obviously the last 8 years, but I ain't raced in a while. So, but that's a whole different day on race day. So I'm excited to see how we're gonna do and see where we fit in the pack. Pretty much. Obviously in May we had a knee injury that happened, and then we did a lot of therapy, and really just been trying to. It took a little longer than we expected. We did a little bit more damage than we thought, but we took, like I said, had to take some time off for it, and then we started doing some cycling, and then we finally got back on the bike and started riding. And it was, like I said, it was a little bit longer than I expected, but I was hoping that we'll be back. Actually around Redbud, but we had to take a couple weeks off before then. And obviously the 2-week break that happened for us after Washougal was great. So now we're here. We should be ready for the last 4 rounds. But yeah, it was definitely a process this whole summer. Definitely not something I would say I'd be sitting on the couch just chilling. It was definitely it's always I had such a great season at Supercross, so you wanted to keep that same momentum. So it's just kind of like weird when it just stops for a second. So, but we're going to try to build back up and get these last 4 races going and just get some gate drops. And no matter what, you can't replicate a race. So this is why we're here.
Yeah, so this is my first race back. Been off for quite a while. Not even sure how long I've been off, but we had that weird injury where I got the foot peg through the bum. So yeah, that wasn't ideal, but it took quite a while for it to heal up. And the thing that was tough about it, I lost a lot of blood and I went anemic. So like trying to just build myself back up took a long time. So here we are, last 4 nationals, and yeah, I'm really excited. I wanna go out there and enjoy these last 4 and do my best. And also, this is for me, like I want to do the Des Nations. So this is kind of like I gotta kind of prove myself too, right? So. Yeah, happy to be here, though. I think it'll be a good weekend.
Okay, so it's great to have some riders back in action or returning to action or making their semi-debut in action in the case of our rider D. Now, a big talk coming into this race as Loretta's has wrapped is there are rumors going around that Hayden Deegan, who is a B-class rider at Loretta's, wants to turn pro. And if you saw him ride either at Loretta's or even a Scouting Moto Combine back at Redbud, there's no doubt he already has the speed to do it. But the rules say you can't go straight from B to A or pro. So he's actually got to ride a couple of amateur days, including this weekend. We have some footage of it, I believe, of him on the amateur track, which they call U2, over on the other hill here. I think he'll race amateur day at Budds Creek, and if he does well enough, I have a feeling he probably will, he might have enough pro points to earn his license for Ironman, so we might get Hayden Deegan in the mix a little bit later. There's a lot going on with that Star Racing team. Again, welcoming Ferrandis back on the 450, and they've got a bunch of 250 riders. Romano's back from injury. He's a New York native. And also both riders on the team fighting, we believe, for one spot on the Motocross Nations team. Tomac and Sexton are essentially locks for Team USA. Christian Craig could be the 250 rider, but they are not going to announce the team at Unadilla like they often do. They're going to wait to announce it at Budds Creek next weekend. I believe that's to see if Justin Cooper, who left Washougal with a second moto win, is continuing on that climb. The old Justin Cooper, the almost beat Jet Lawrence for the title last year, Justin Cooper, would be a good choice for the team. And I think they're trying to see if he's up to that level of speed. So very odd to have 2 teammates essentially in line for that final spot. But this is all just speculation. We'll figure out how it turns out at Bud. So you got Cooper, a New York native, on the gas. You still have Joe Shimoda and Hunter Lawrence doing well. And everybody still needs yet another stroke of bad luck. Maybe another engine problem for Jet Lawrence if they want to get back in this title hunt. He is in complete control, winning races when he's the fastest guy and winning races even when he isn't. And the one last story from Unadilla is, of course, the track itself. This is not what you'd expect from Unadilla when you look at it here. It hasn't been ripped up yet, but they got some giant farm equipment out there. They're going to disc this. They're going to water it. It's going to get back to the rutted, nasty, rough man's track that the riders talk about by tomorrow. Should be really interesting. The famous gravity cavity behind us there is the finish line. All the obstacles that has made this track iconic. And remember, we're celebrating 50 years of Pro-Motocross. No better place to do it than Unadilla, which is really at the tip of the spear when it comes to tracks in the early days of American motocross. They opened here in the late 1960s, and it's been part of this championship for a long time. It even predates it with some big international races, names that you kids wouldn't even remember, like Trans AMA and USGPs, even held the donations here once. So we'll see if Unadilla or these riders getting back into action will change things after a 2-week break. Thanks to 60 Helmets for sponsoring our show. I'm Jason Weigandt. See you tomorrow.